Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be part of my brother's kids' lives? My brother died at 29 roughly 4 years ago. He left behind a wife, 32 female, and 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy, aged 6, 7, and 9. Me and my brother were never close. No, my brother was downright hostile to me. There was significant age difference between me and him, roughly 9 years. I'm currently 24, and I think he was always jealous of me and resented me for being born. I think he had been an only child for too long. Regardless, all my time with him was horrific, and he ruined most of my youth. This did not change when he was an adult either. He did not recognize me as his brother, and would full-on ignore me whenever he was over, even during holidays like Christmas. To the extent where he would buy everyone gifts, from our parents to distant cousins, apart from me. My life improved when he finally moved out. However, our relationship never improved. I was not even invited to his wedding. Not that I minded at the time, to be honest. I was also only told after the fact by my parents when his kids were born. I never met them when he was alive. He ended up getting cancer and passed away a few months after his diagnosis. During this time, according to my family, he was extremely apologetic, regretted his actions, and asked me for quite a lot. I never ended up visiting, and before you ask, no, I do not regret that at all. Regardless, he wrote me a letter which my parents gave me after he died as he had asked them to do. The letter was a long apology, and him imploring me to look after his kids and help his wife. I ended up going to his funeral, mostly to support my parents, where I met his kids and wife. Since that moment, I have had his wife reach out to me a lot over the years asking me to help. Babysit, spend time with her kids, you name it. I've always declined/ignored it. At this point, my parents also got involved, imploring me to help out, as I am the only young male role model these kids will ever have. Brother's wife does not want to remarry, has no male relatives, and my dad is in his 70s. Of course, they know what my brother wanted and care for their grandkids, so I get where they're coming from. And I do feel bad about it. I just want to see what people from the outside think. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Relationships need to be fostered, even familial ones. None of them can expect you to take on the role of uncle when they were all complicit in your brother's behavior of outright ignoring you and excluding you from his own family. Well, I don't blame his kids for that, just to be clear. Of course not. However, the wife and your parents allowed this to go on. I think it's wrong of them now to push or expect you to now play the uncle role. It struck me that Opie said when his former sister-in-law reaches out for him to help somehow or to babysit. If that is an accurate description of what's being asked of him, I think it's crappy and one-sided. Not the a-hole. I wonder why your parents didn't intervene when his behavior towards you earlier. You are an adult, and it is your life, your choice. They're very peacekeeper-ish. I'm not trying to make it okay, but between my brother and his kids and me, I can see why they try to keep everyone close instead of just picking sides. But I certainly think they let my brother get away with way too much. I agree, and that is the problem. Sometimes a person needs to speak up for people being bullied. The silence enables them. I agree, and my relationship with my parents is not the best, in large part due to the past. But as I said, I get where they came from at the time. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of my husband's birthday dinner when his sister was complaining about her fertility? My husband's parents threw my husband a birthday dinner at their home last Saturday. During dinner, his sister announced she was pregnant with her 6th child. Everyone congratulated her, and my husband grew quiet. He and I have been trying for a baby for 7 years now. It only just saved the money for IVF. Once the commotion about the new member of the family settled, my sister-in-law started her usual commentary on how much it sucks to be so fertile, and how she feels like she'll just never be able to stop having kids because the pill and contraceptive injection both failed, and how she's not a good fit for an IUD. By the time she pointed out she's been pregnant so often that they don't even need to have full action anymore for her to get knocked up, I couldn't take it anymore, and I walked out. My husband followed me, and I could see he was holding back some tears too. He apologized for saying nothing. I said he didn't need to, that he was obviously struggling too. By the time we made it home, his parents had called to say how sorry they were, and how none of that was meant to happen. His sister, on the other hand, called me a killjoy and a drama queen, and she told me it was rude to walk out after all her parents' hard work and for spoiling the celebration of a pregnancy. I hung up on her. Don't want to cry because her words stuck in my head. Since then, she and my husband got into a fight because she called me selfish and said I made a dinner about me instead of them. I wish I could feel she's totally wrong, but I worry she's right. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Wait, you spoiled the celebration for the pregnancy? Funny, I could have sworn it was a celebration for your husband's birthday. Definitely not the a-hole. She basically brought an FU to her brother's birthday instead of a gift. And doubled it, between stealing the limelight and bragging that her husband can get her knocked up easily. Not the a-hole. It was a birthday dinner for your husband. Not a me, I'm pregnant again, it's all about me. I think she did it to ruin your dear husband's celebration, and they should have said something to her. Not the a-hole. The next time she says something, ignore the hell out of her. Not the a-hole. 1. Tell her husband to get a vasectomy. 2. I wish you guys the best with IVF. It's a very long emotional process, and I wish you nothing but all the happiness in the world. Not the a-hole. It wasn't a dinner to celebrate her pregnancy. It was your husband's birthday dinner, but she made it about her. Right. Massive projection for her to accuse Opie of making the dinner about her. I don't think the sister can see past the tip of her own nose. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not hosting a baby shower for my estranged daughter-in-law? I think a bit of background may be required for this one. I, 60 female, have 2 sons and a daughter. The people in question here are Dave, 35, and his wife, Liz, 29. Basically, I have a relationship with Dave, but none at all with Liz. Dave was married before and has 2 children, 11 male and 9 female, with his ex-wife, Cassie. Cassie unexpectedly died in January 2020, about 2 weeks before Dave and Liz's wedding. Liz and I had a falling out over the children attending the wedding. They said they did not want to attend. But Liz demanded they be in the wedding despite the fact they had just lost their mother and could have stayed with Cassie's parents that day. Dave gave in to Liz's demand, and the kids attended. Then Liz says they ruined the wedding when they refused to walk down the aisle and then cried at the reception. I defended my grandchildren's behavior because they were grieving, and Liz was very angry that I did not try harder at the wedding to get them to behave. They were in my care for the day. After the wedding, Cassie's parents and my husband and I started taking our grandchildren more often because they did not want to be at Dave and Liz's house. My son works long hours, so they would mostly have to be with Liz. Liz does not like that we pick up our grandkids when they call us, and maybe we are undermining her parenting, but she does often fail to cook dinner, take them to therapy or after-school activities. She is now expecting a baby in November and will be having a baby shower in a few weeks. I was not invited, but I have not told any of my extended family about the issue with Liz, or the fact that I was not attending because I feel like my family is also Dave's family and can form their own opinions. Recently, word got out that I would not be there. I'm not sure how, and family started to question. The reason got out there, and my family is now very angry with both Dave and Liz. They are refusing to attend the baby shower, and I guess the guest list went from over 60 to under 20. Liz and family have decided they are fine with us because they do not have to pay for as many guests. But now Liz has called my daughter and demanded that we, daughter and I, host a shower for her. And she might stop by if she is feeling up to it, but will come to pick up the gifts after the shower to show the family that we are all on good terms. Not actually true. I might be the a-hole because we declined. And now that people know we are estranged, I am sort of happy that I don't have to pretend to like her anymore. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your daughter-in-law sounds super entitled. Who the heck demands a baby shower from anyone? Yikes. The same person who made 2 grieving children go to a wedding 2 weeks after their mom died, and then got upset that they were crying at the wedding. The real question is, why doesn't the father protect his own children from this woman? Not the a-hole, and frankly, your son is no peach either the way he treats those kids. Yes, he is an enabler to all of her problematic actions. I am most disgusted by the fact that he chose to force the kids to attend the wedding instead of dropping Liz. He chose Liz over the well-being of the kids. Both of them should not have custody of the kids. I hope Opie can get custody of the grandkids. Especially since it sounds like Liz is neglecting them. What kind of parent, by or step, Is okay with an adult trusted to watch kids forgetting to cook them dinner, or bring them to therapy, or get them to after-school activities. Especially as kids who have lost a parent. Those are all very important for the emotional health of the kids. Not stay home. Who forced children into a wedding after their parent died? Then neglect them. She only wants you to do that so she can cover up her mistakes, like being super disrespectful to you. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for walking out of my sister's baby shower party after she had me babysit the kids? My brother and his wife are expecting their 5th child together. Last week, her sister threw a kids-friendly baby shower party and I was sent an invitation. I, 21, looked at the date, and even though I had an upcoming exam but also not close with my brother's in-laws, I decided to make time to attend since my sister-in-law wanted me there so badly. I arrived at the party and there were plenty of kids. I took a seat and watched as the kids made huge noise and disrupted the party atmosphere. That includes sister-in-law's kids, of course. Sister-in-law and her sisters were becoming frustrated. That's when sister-in-law took all the kids upstairs and told me to follow her. She had them go into the guest room and asked me to watch them for a few minutes till she returns. I told her thanks, but I wasn't up for it. She said, just 5 minutes, silly. Don't act like kids are terrifying creatures. So I said, okay, 5 minutes. She shut the door and was gone for 5, then 10, then 12 minutes. The kids were already making noise. So I called her phone and she told me she was coming. I waited 5 minutes, then another 5. I went downstairs to speak to her, but she saw me, pulled me aside, and told me to go back upstairs and watch the kids. I said, why? I'm here for the party, not to babysit. She insisted and pressured me, which made me upset, so I told her no. I wasn't going to be stuck in a room with over 13 kids to babysit while she and family have fun downstairs. I'm not even good with children. Yes, I love my nieces and nephew, but managing over 13 kids is a lot, and is not an easy task for someone like me. I took my jacket and I said I was leaving. She begged me to come back, but I just walked out. My brother was livid as she told him I walked out, and he said I shouldn't have, and called me insupportive and negative to walk out the way I did and embarrassing his wife in front of guests. I told him about the 13 kids she set me up to babysit, and reminded him I had important stuff to do but still found time to attend, just so she could isolate me in a room while she celebrates? Now he and my parents wanted me to apologize for my rudeness and for messing up the event for sister-in-law. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. First, after 5 kids? Who has a baby shower? Second, they should have made plans for childcare if they wanted a kid-friendly shower. And that doesn't mean you. Everyone else is the a-hole here. But not you. This. Not an a-hole. Having a shower for a 5th baby is insane. But then expecting you to be free childcare without even asking is ludicrous. If they wanted adult time to celebrate the new baby coming and enjoy each other's companies, then they should have had the husbands watch the kids, or hired some young teenagers to keep them occupied. Right. What could you possibly need when you already have that many kids? No one in their right mind wants to watch 13 kids, even if you love them. Not an a-hole. No one wants to get stuck watching a dozen kids for free instead of being a guest at a party. If they want you to be the sitter, they should have asked you, paid you, and had an assistant for you. I'm pretty sure there is no babysitter in the world willing to babysit 13 random kids of all different ages in one tiny room, no matter what to pay. If that person exists, they deserve a medal and hazard pay. Not an a-hole. If it's a kid-friendly party, then in my opinion there are 2 choices. 1, you arrange the entertainment/care for the kids, or 2, everybody tames and keeps an eye on their own kiddos. Last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving a family gathering because my family made me sit at the kid table? For context, I haven't seen my full family together in quite some time, so they set up a get-together at a park today. The family gathering includes me, 22 male, a brother 21, my sister 25, her husband 29, and their 2 kids, my dad, stepmom and her kids 6 and 9, aunt, uncle, my 2 cousins 15 and 20, then grandma and grandpa. I get there with some picnic items. I brought a quiche and the cups, and see a few members setting up. I say hi, and help set up the tables and set the food out. We talk and play games while the others show up. When everyone gets there, we sit down to eat. sit next to my dad, then gets a weird look from my aunt as she says to me, "This is the adult's table." To which I reply, "I am an adult?" She then tells me that the first and second generations are considered adult, and the third and fourth generations should sit at a kid's table, since we don't have much to contribute to adult conversations. I tell her that I can drink, that I drove here, that I pay and have a job. So how am I still considered a child? She says that until I have kids of my own, I'll have to sit at a kid's table. According to my aunt, there are 8 children, ages 6 to 22, and 8 adults, ages 25 to 75. So I should just sit at a kid's table since it'll be even. But there's plenty of space at the adult table, and I don't want to be stuck with 5 literal children. She still disagrees. And at this point, my uncle and grandparents back her up. So I say, screw it. Take my quiche back, tell them to have a nice day, and drive away. I get a few texts telling me to come back by my dad and grandparents. He asks if Aunt is going to apologize, and they ask for what? That was enough for me to disregard their other messages and calls until I got home, where I am now. I feel horrible that I may have possibly ruined a nice family gathering, but feel my family doesn't respect me at all enough to say that I am still a child, and apparently have the same mentality as 6-year-olds. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I love you took your quiche with you too. It tastes sweeter for some reason. Not the a-hole. Your aunt is totally an a-hole. They probably want you at the kids' table to play babysitter. I would have left too, to be honest. I'm surprised my brother accepted it too. He's 21. I understand my cousin's situation though, since she's my aunt's daughter and it's not like she's going to talk back. If I stayed, there would have been 3 people over 20 at the kids' table. What? You're really sure he accepted it? Rather than he was too cowed to speak up, so he kept the peace. Probably. I'm not upset nobody spoke up. Just that it was apparently an issue to my aunt. People should be able to sit wherever they want. The division of tables between kids and grown-ups is really dumb in the first place the more I think about it. I think it's just about not being at the kids' table more than anything, which I guess is what prompted me to want to sit at the adult table in the first place. Am I the a-hole for wanting my son named after my dad instead of my stepdad? My dad passed away when I was 9. He was the best dad in the world, and I still miss him. He was just the life of the party, made everyone laugh, was caring and kind. He died in an accident. My dad didn't have any family since he was a foster kid, but the day of his funeral, the place was packed with people who loved him. Literally almost no space for everyone inside. That's how many people his presence affected. My mom and I struggled until she met Marcus, not his real name, when I was 11. He helped us out a lot, and he's a great guy. It was love at first sight for them, and they got married fast. It didn't bother me though, because he is really great to me and nice. My wife, 24 female, and I, 24 male, are pregnant. We just found out it's gonna be a baby boy. My wife also lost her dad when she was 17 to cancer, so she wants to name our son after him. So we decided we want our son named after his 2 grandpas. Her dad's would be our son's first name, then my dad's as his middle name. We told everyone on Zoom. My mom called me a few days after we told them. She said Marcus has been really down, and is hurt that I didn't consider naming my son after him. I talked to Marcus about this too. He admits it stung him, because he thought we had a deeper relationship, and after everything he's done for my family, he figured I'd see him as someone I want to name my son after. And I told him he is important to me. I acknowledge everything he did for my family, and I love him no matter what. But my dad was also someone very important to me, and I want to honor him. That seemed to make him upset, so we ended the call. Neither of them talked to me for days, until my mom reached out again. She really thinks I should reconsider this because it would mean a lot to Marcus, and make him feel more included, I guess. I told her my wife and I pretty much decided on this. My mom got a little pissy about it. She said it's fine then if I won't compromise, and Marcus sees now where he stands in my life. It was a really weird call, and now it's radio silence from them. So yeah, I don't know. I've already told him it's important to me. He knows I love him because I've said so many times. Just don't see why he'd get upset over what we want to name our son. I doubt if we weren't naming him after our dads, there would be a problem. So I'm lost. Am I being an a-hole for deciding I want my son named after my dad instead of him? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. You're naming your child after the fathers you both lost to honor them. Marcus is still here and will have a chance to be a part of the child's life, whereas your father can't. So using his name is a sweet way of making sure he too is part of your child's life as well. This is a great point. I would definitely emphasize how excited I am for him to be your baby's granddad, while firmly sticking with the name you have chosen. Just because you love your dad and want to honor his memory doesn't mean you don't love your stepdad. Not a hole. Literally this. I would stress to Marcus that he will be the only grandpa the baby knows. You and your wife can't give that to your own dad, so want to honor them in a different way. It is not a dig at Marcus, just a way for the child to connect to two people he will never meet. Not a hole. I'm gonna be blunt. Marcus would be no one if your dad hadn't sadly passed. Marcus gets the chance to be a granddad and is screwing it up over the name of your child? By what you've said, he is a good guy and involved in your life. So I'm guessing you want him involved in your son's life. I agree with another commenter that you should spend some time with Marcus and discuss his place in your life and that the name of your son doesn't change that. But being a part of your life means respecting your decisions and choices. I hope this comes to a happy resolution. I, for one, understand honoring a person through their name. I am named in part after my granddad, and I will do the same if I have children. I'm Jewish, so the whole idea of someone living lobbying to have a child named after them is inherently weird to me. Our culture, at least my version of it, I think maybe there might be a divide between Sephardic and Ashkenazi here, not entirely sure, embraces naming babies after those who have passed on, as a way to keep our departed loved one's spirit alive. In fact, it's considered bad form and bad luck to name a baby after someone who is still alive at the time of their birth. So I guess what I'm saying is, tell Marcus and Mom you're converting to Judaism. Problem solved. Anyway, not a hole. I find it a special kind of irony that Marcus can display such petty jealousness while simultaneously asking you to name your firstborn after him. As if his behavior is such a shining example of modesty, humility, and kind-hearted decency that you'd want your son to look to the man behind these actions as a role model? Please. Marcus gets to be alive and gets to meet your son. Your dad does not. Marcus needs to focus on that stark reality. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for ruining my parents' retirement by refusing to move in with them? I, female 20, live with my mother, 55, stepfather, 69, and my brother, 18, in a small town in an apartment building that we absolutely hate. Because my brother is about to leave for the army after he graduates high school, my parents are planning on moving about 2 hours away. Their plan is for me to assume half of the rent of the new apartment, and they would travel each month, coming back once a month for doctor's appointments, or during the winter season. However, currently I am the only one working in my family, as my stepfather gets disability and social security and my mother gets child support, and I work as a server/cook in a small dining restaurant. During this conversation, I was told I would have to pay for all of the moving expenses, and be expected to take care of 2 dogs while they are away. I have several reasons why I refuse to move in with them, mostly due to my mother and I having a stress relationship, as well as her being manipulative. She constantly shames me for my weight, which led me to having an eating disorder that I still struggle with, complains about me trying to be with friends once or twice a week, and disapproves of the hobbies I have. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I really feel like I should be obligated to do all this, especially since I'm not seen as an adult in their eyes. I'm worried that if I move in with them, I will be forced to take care of not only half the rent and utilities, but my mother's drinking and smoking habits, and my mental health will go down the drain. But with all the conversations I've had with my parents, with them promising me more independence, I'm worried I might be the a-hole. Am I? Not the a-hole. You are an adult, just as much as your 18-year-old brother is. If they want to move, that's on them. But you are not beholden to fund their lifestyle or play kennel to their pets. Get your own apartment and pay your moving expenses to extract yourself from this insanity. The crazy thing is, they still expect me to pay their moving expenses even if I don't move in with them. And that's maybe $1,000 more? Did you get the pony you wanted when you were 6? Probably not. Their moving expenses is the pony. No is a complete sentence. Get out of that house any way you can, and go low contact/no contact until they stop trying to financially mistreat you. Them promising you more independence? You're 20 years old. You have all the independence you choose to. Move out. They're using you for financial security and a dog sitter while they do as they please. If they don't want you on your own at 20, it's because they are toxic. Not day-haul. It's crazy they expect you to pay for moving and rent. That is just using you completely. Start saying no and find somewhere else to move. Their plan really makes no sense in the long run anyways. Never ruin your future for someone else's lack of plans. It does, in a sense. My stepfather has several health issues, and child support doesn't last forever. I think my mom wants to use me after my stepfather passes. Third story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I don't want to buy a house with you? Hey everyone! So, I'm Indian American, and if you're Indian American, you know that parents/relatives love purchasing expensive houses to flex on others, even if they can barely afford it. Same goes with luxury cars, luxury huge houses, expensive clothes, gold. So I'm 26 male. I work as an HR administrator, and I make around $60,000 after taxes, which isn't much but I don't mind. I'm able to have basic necessities, rent a nice apartment, and have plenty of money for my hobbies like gaming, woodworking, books. My parents in general think I'm a failure and I'm dumb and I'm not successful. Long time ago, they cut contact with me. All the words and ways they treated me started affecting my mental health extremely bad, resulting in numerous mental disorders, which I take meds for but still isn't gone. So since we distanced, I've been feeling much better. Recently, they wanted me to come over to their house because they want to talk something important and it can't be said over the phone. So I came over, and they made lunch and treated me nicely, and then my mom and dad started talking nicely, and both of them apologized to me and said that they love me and all. They acted really friendly. I thought they actually changed for real, because it's been few years since we came this close. Then they got to the chase and said, we want to buy a new house and it costs $500,000. Then they showed me the pictures of the house they want, and it's a beautiful house. It's 5 beds, 5,000 square feet, with a luxury gate and a huge landed pool. I say, nice house, Dad, but where will you get this type of money though? Loan or something? You're retired and you don't earn much as you used to, and Mom's a housewife, so 500,000 might be out of your range, right? Then my dad said, oh no, we aren't going for loans. You pay us $250,000 and I will put in $250,000, then I can buy the house. Immediately when my dad said, you pay us $250,000, I got shocked and just got up quickly and told them, sorry Dad, I can't afford $250,000 at this moment. I don't have that type of money and I don't want to buy a house with you. I quickly leave, and before I closed the door, my dad said, I thought you loved us. Don't you want your old parents to live in a nice home? I brought you to America, and now you're leaving your parents. Mom starts fake crying, and my dad is telling me, wow, you're leaving your old parents? You should be ashamed of yourself. I knew you were a failure. Disgusting. Insert cuss words. Mom continues to make boohoo noises and fake cries, and she says her share of cuss words in Hindi. I just closed the door and left. I have saved up a good amount of money, around $100,000, from job, side hustles, etc., but I don't plan on purchasing a home just yet because I'm not certain where I will be living permanently yet. Plus, with job layoffs and all, I don't want to have all these responsibilities, especially in this time. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. As an Indian, I totally understand and therefore not the a-hole. Thank you. I know it's mainly us Indians who know the feeling. Lol, I agree with this. I'm not at that age yet, but my brother got an academic thing at his school. And my dad, his Indian, just brought me outside one day in the middle of my online class and said, I need one of these from you. It was one of those signs that says an award winner lives here and stuff. I'm not comparing how my situation is to yours, by the way. I'm just saying I understand how they can be. I'm here if you ever need to talk. Oh, thank you so much. Not a-hole. I am Asian and understand filial piety very well. I had a different, more positive relationship with my parents, and I would still never do this. Also, my parents would never ask us. They know I need to live my own life. You are not your parents' retirement plan. Not the a-hole, and you know it. It sounds like you cutting contact was the right thing back then, and it sounds like the right thing now. The only reason they contacted you was for money. If your dad is able to put up $250,000, I'm certain that he can purchase a nice, but slightly smaller, property for him and your mother to spend their final years in. I might have misread this, but what exactly is the benefit to you in parting with $250,000? Are you expected to live in this house? Just expected to buy it for them and continue your way with an empty bank account and eat dust for the next 25 years? You are not the a-hole, and it's time to go no contact with your parents. For your own peace of mind and sanity, your mom and dad will be able to sort themselves out. They never really offered me to stay with them, so I don't really know exactly what they intended to do. I assume it's just for mom and dad to live in. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad's wife to suck it up? My dad married his wife when I was 10. My mom had died 2 years earlier. She never tried to be my mom or got jealous that I loved my mom. But she sure hated the fact my dad wasn't single by choice and was so jealous of the 3 photos we had displayed in the house. 1 in the living room, 1 in the dining room, and 1 in my room. And she asked for them to be taken out of sight, and my dad complied. She also hated that he had contact with my mom's family still, mostly for me. So even though he did cut me off from them, he hasn't spoken to them since. And she gets so annoyed when they show up for stuff like my high school graduation or my birthdays. I moved in with my boyfriend back in February of last year, and then everything shut down, and I didn't see my dad for a while. He never saw my house or anything. It was only in January that we saw each other again, and then a few weeks ago he and his wife came over to see the house, and she was uncomfortable when she saw photos of my mom, but specifically the family photos of when my mom was alive. And she made a comment, followed by asking me if I would take them down while she was there. And when I said no, she said I must have put them up to rub it in her face. I told her to suck it up. And if I had to learn how to live in a house where photos of my mom were hidden, she could learn to live with being inside a house with photos of her while she was a guest and not even living there. She told me there was no reason to be rude, and I should try to see it from her perspective. She has been giving my dad a hard time ever since. Then she told me she was sorry for making the request, and the least I could do is apologize for being so rude over a simple mistake. I don't think I'm in the wrong at all. I think it's kinda messed up that my dad goes along with all this, and is okay with pretending my mom never existed around her. But I wonder if I was a little rude and should have left it at a no. It irked me when she brought up the photos and asked me to take them down like she didn't already have too much control over the photos in my bedroom when I lived there. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your father enables your stepmother. She told me there was no reason to be rude and I should try to see it from her perspective. What perspective would that be, as a guest in your home? You're displaying pictures of your family. She's been giving my dad a hard time ever since. Then told me she was sorry for making the request, and the least I could do is apologize for being so rude. Which, please. She's ridiculous. She walked into your home and asked you to remove pictures of your mother. Let's all pause and reflect upon how insane and entitled a person must be to act this way. I would never, ever apologize. If she wants to complain to your father, good for her. He's the one who should tell her she's being unreasonable and overbearing and completely inappropriate. He can enjoy her witching since he's the one who should shut her down, but doesn't. She said I must have put them up to rub it in her face. This is perhaps the textbook definition of narcissism. The only reason a person would have a picture of their dead mother in their house is to make me feel bad. Right? The house that she's entered 1 time in 13 months. I guess she thinks Opie's playing the long spite game. I now have this mental image of Opie prancing around evilly like the Grinch, placing the photos in the perfect place before sitting back in glee, and cackling at how brilliant their evil plan is before clapping and rolling all over the couch in joy. Not the a-hole. You don't have anything to apologize for. Regardless of how she feels about your mom, she is way out of line trying to dictate what photos you can display in your own home. Also, while I can somewhat understand her not wanting those photos displayed in the shared areas of her house, She was also wrong to ask that you not have them in your own room. Am I the a-hole for being honest with my cousin? I have two cousins from my Aunt Jane. Kira is 14 and Allison is 11. Kira's always been ostracized in the family and never knew why. The truth is, Aunt Jane slept with her sisters, my Aunt Lulu's husband John, and Kira is the result. The only person truly suffering because of this is Kira. Jane still shows up to all family gatherings. John's still married to Lulu. Lulu don't speak to Jane, but the rest of the family does. But the one person who gets nothing out of the family is Kira. Of 13 cousins, I am the only one cousin who speaks to her. Some of those cousins are Kira's half-siblings, and they know about her. Allison also speaks to her, but they're close. Kira has been left alone and left out of stuff for as long as I can remember. I was told about Kira aged 5 when I asked why she didn't get anything for Christmas. My dad said everyone did it out of respect for Lulu, who was deeply hurt by the affair. Even then, it made no sense to me. But to the rest of my family, that stuff is normal. My grandma's sister turned 93 weeks ago, and we were all at my grandparents' house to celebrate. Yet again, Kira was left out, so I hung out with her and Allison, when Allison wasn't being pulled into stuff by Jane. Kira got real upset because some people straight out ignored her when she said hi, and it confused the hell out of her why everybody hated her so much. She said her mom would never tell her anything, and she wished she could know. So I told her. None of it was her fault, but that the adults are horrible, and the family should never have taken it out on her. That nothing that her parents did should have made her suffer. She was broken, but she told me she was glad she knew. She confronted Aunt Jane about it, which is when crap hit the fan. Everyone said I had no right to tell her, that it wasn't my place, and that at 17 I might be young, but I should know better. The worst part, and what makes me feel worse, is her anger made everyone say what a selfish brat she is, and how she should be more understanding of the pain Lulu and Lulu's kids feel. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole at all. You probably lifted a weight off her shoulders. Now she can live her life knowing her family's a bunch of idiots who are blaming her for her mom's mistakes. That family's toxic. I would get out ASAP. She's too young to go anywhere for the next 4 years. My ex-husband ran away from home at 14 years old because his family was toxic. And when authorities tried to send him back, he refused. He told them if they send him back, he'll just keep running away. So they put him into foster care, and his mom had to pay support. My point is, if she feels she can't handle it, there are options, if she's desperate and unhappy enough to take them. Not the a-hole, at all. Your entire family are the a-holes. A child should never have to be punished for their parents' mistakes. How can no one think of the pain they're causing her? They care more about Lulu's pain, and Lulu straight up hates Kira. I've heard her wish Kira dead before. She says the same about Jane, but Kira did nothing to anyone. It's not like she chose to be born, or chose who her parents are. Everyone sucks here. It really wasn't your place to tell her. But for the rest of the family to ignore an innocent child in favor of an adult, they're all a bunch of a-holes. I know. I just wanted to try and make things a little easier for her because I knew she was going to be let in the dark. Next story. Am I the a-hole for uninviting sister from wedding and insulting stepmother? For a background, I'm an affair child. My dad was married to Marie and had 3 children. Male 8, male 6, female 4 at the time. After Marie found out about the affair, she was devastated, but stuck by my dad because she loved him. After she found out I was on the way, it was salt in the wound for Marie. She tried to tell my dad it was either his unborn child, me, or her in their relationship. However, she backed down when my dad made it clear he would choose me. I spent time with both my parents, but my dad paid for my other 3 siblings to go to school near him and wanted me to attend too, so I mainly lived with him and Marie, my 3 half-siblings. My dad was often away, so Marie sometimes would be taking care of me if it was school time. I always knew Marie didn't like me, even from a young age. She would do things like tuck her kids into bed and leave me out, or take her kids out while I wasn't there, or buy her kids toys and not me. The 3 would always talk about it, and I'd always feel left out. My siblings also didn't like including me in games and stuff, and I believe it was Marie's influence because she'd often tell them I'm not their real sibling. and I think she used to talk bad about my mother to them. Basically, I was the one that shouldn't exist and was treated as such. My dad noticed. It was something him and Marie used to fight about, but my dad always made it up to me. Example, if they all went out without me for ice cream, he would take me for ice cream. If their mother bought them new toys and not me, he would buy me a new toy. My siblings always took this as favoritism, and it further divided us. When I was 17, my dad divorced Marie. My 3 siblings went no contact with our dad, and I didn't really speak to Marie much. Our dad ended up marrying my mother a few years after divorcing Marie. I reached out to my siblings a few years back. The 2 boys said they weren't interested, but Lauren and I have met for coffee a couple times and we get along really well. I've been planning my wedding for a while, and I decided to invite Lauren. And after a positive reaction, I decided as an olive branch to invite Marie and my 2 brothers. I received a nasty message from my brother asking how dare I invite them, knowing our dad and my mother would be there acting as if they didn't rip their family apart. I told him obviously they wouldn't have to talk to them if they came, but I just thought it would be nice to at least give them an invite. He asked what makes me think my wedding is so important that they want an invite, so I just ignored him. Lauren found out about the argument and basically tried convincing me to uninvite my mother and my father, and chose them and the women that raised me, and that my mother and father were a-holes. Told her she can't be serious, and that Marie was a witch to me, and literally resented my existence. Things got heated. Lauren called me an a-hole, and I told her it takes one to know one, and that she can forget about the wedding entirely. Received another nasty paragraph from my brother, and my other brother removed me from Facebook. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole for trying to reach out, but I feel there is more to this story. All the parents here are the worst. Why did your boy dad and mom leave it to your stepmom to be the primary caregiver when they knew she resented you? Were they using stepmom as a free babysitter while boy mom and dad carried on their affair? Your dad went on business trips all the time to see your mom. Seems like dad only left stepmom for your mom when child-rearing tasks were done. It's bizarre you didn't live with your boy mom, near your dad, so that you could attend a nice school and get regular time with dad. Bio dad and mom are responsible for your childhood trauma as stepmom. They didn't do the minimum to protect and raise you, and you're really letting them off the hook in all this. My dad paid for his other 3 children to go to British private school. He thought it was only fair I went to the same school. My mom lived 30 minutes away from my father's house, and my school was 20 minutes away from my father's house. There was no school bus, and 15 minutes over an hour with traffic is a lot for my mother to drive every day with school. So it was easier for me to just stay at my dad's house because Marie would be dropping the other 3 off anyway. I'm also not sure my dad knew to the extent at the time. He would get mad when she obviously left me out, but the minor but important things he probably didn't realize. They didn't carry on the affair. My dad genuinely had business trips to go on. He didn't see my mother apart from dropping me off sometimes for years. He admitted that he loved my mother, and that he left Marie because she isn't a nice person, in his words. My parents never caused me any trauma. My mother couldn't move closer because she was quite poor, and Marie wouldn't have wanted my dad to help her out. My mother's a really kind person, and so is my dad. Okay, but the responsible and natural thing would have been for your mom to move close to her school and be your primary caregiver. Your stepmom wasn't happy about raising you, but she did it. So I don't see how she could have stopped your dad from financially helping your mom if he really wanted to. Seems like he was doing whatever suited him best regardless of how it affected others. In your original post, you indicate that your dad did know about the problems and that he tried to make it up to you by buying you things. So I think you need to be honest with yourself about his role in your difficult childhood. I'm just saying you have one perspective on this, and if you're not interested in considering the other side, then you should probably just leave stepmom and half-siblings alone. Everyone had a rough go, and the one most to blame is your dad. You posted here for an objective perspective, and based on the info given, your dad is not a nice person. He is a terrible husband and father who ruined a lot of lives with his selfishness. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law I'm not her late sister and she needs to see a therapist? My 19 female sister-in-law's 27 little sister passed away 3 years ago. Though she said she already grieved her death, I think otherwise. She likes to compare anything I do to what her sister did. And sure, 1 or 2 things I'm sure we did alike, but she's taken as far as comparing almost everything I do. The subjects I took in high school, sports I've played, colors I like, the way I decorate my room, even snack/food I like the way I eat. I've told her, as nicely as I can, if she could let up comparing me to her late sister all the time, because it sort of weirded me out. She did not. When she still continued to do it, I talked to my sister, her wife, and told her to ask her to stop. She didn't. Everyone calls me overdramatic and said I should let her continue as she clearly sees me as a little sister, and that is normal behavior. She's been a lot worse lately since my boyfriend has been over more. She'll make comments like, my parents would have never allowed my sister to have a boyfriend in her room or spend a night. Or, you're lucky your boyfriend isn't around me or I'd kick him out. Yesterday, I asked my mom if my boyfriend could stay for dinner, which usually means he'll spend a night too. And she said yeah. Sister-in-law overheard and got mad. She was making snarky comments the rest of breakfast. Opie and boyfriend spends way too much time together. And I'm surprised you guys allow her to have boys in her room. You don't know what they're up to in there. She then said she'd stay home instead of going out to keep an eye on my boyfriend and I because we'd be home alone. I didn't think much of it and went about my day. When my boyfriend did come over, we went to my room to hang out. Not even 10 minutes later, she started barging in trying to tell me to wash dishes, asking me random questions and trying to invite herself to hang with us. Eventually, I locked my door because I got annoyed, and crap hit the fan from there. When she tried to come in once again and realized it was locked, she started screaming and banging on the door, yelling at me to open it. When I did, she started yelling at me how her sister wouldn't even be allowed to lock her bedroom door, so I wasn't allowed to. That's when I had enough. I called her delusional and told her I'm not her late sister and she needed to see a therapist because she needs help. She told my parents what I said and they want me to apologize because it's just her big sister instincts kicking in. My sister also wants me to apologize because what I said was heartless. I've refused, and they think I'm an insensitive a-hole for it. Now I feel like what I said was probably in the a-hole territory, and I might have been in the wrong. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She does need to see a therapist. Not the a-hole. That's really messed up of her. And you're correct. She does need some therapy or counseling. It doesn't sound like anyone is giving her a neutral perspective here, and just enabling her to project her late sister on you. Is there anyone in your corner, Opie? A relative or a trusted authority figure? This sounds like a lot to go through alone, and I feel like you could use some sensible backup, because you're definitely not out of line here. I don't have anyone other than my boyfriend and friends. Do you have a close relationship with your parents? I used to, but with them always defending what she does, it's taken a toll in our relationship. I know it's not popular opinion, but everyone sucks here, and here's why. 1. Your sister is an a-hole for brushing you off about your annoyance and concern for a sister-in-law. She also sucks for not being a good partner. Your sister-in-law is clearly struggling, and she's blind to it. 2. Your parents suck because they don't have your back when you're clearly uncomfortable with what sister-in-law is doing. 3. You're a soft a-hole just because of how you said she needs help. In heat of the argument, when you tell someone they need therapy, to onlookers and a person on the receiving end, it sounds like an insult rather than concern. Edit. Is it common to get mixed answers? Like, a lot of comments are saying not the a-hole, but in private messages, I'm being told everyone sucks here / you're the a-hole. I'm confused. I'm also being told I was harsh and should apologize along with being told my reaction was fine and I don't owe an apology. I'm so confused. Do the private messages even count? Maybe they're trolls. I don't know. I keep commenting to people, but I realize not everyone is going to see my replies. I did move out and had to move back because my apartment complex burned down. I'm back on the road to moving out and hope to by December. I know I need to get away, and I'm trying. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my adoptive sister that she's not entitled to anything our grandmother left behind? My sister, Lara, 27 female, was adopted by our parents at 12 years old. She really never bonded to our parents. Lara attended therapy, and my parents showered her with love and attention, but they never managed to have a close relationship. I, 24 male, was the only one with whom Lara was able to open up to. My grandmother, 87 female, was also very fond of Lara. However, she always rejected her affections, and on many occasions, she was rude to my grandmother. Lara went to college, fully paid for by my parents, at 18, and moved away from home. Her housing and transportation was paid for by our parents as well. When she graduated at 22, she cut off all contact with our family. We later found out that her adoptive family contacted her a little after she turned 18, and they kept in touch for the 4 years of college. Lara waited for my parents to finish paying for her university to move in with her biological parents. Obviously, my parents were devastated. With a lot of effort, they managed to get out of their sadness, and life went back to being normal, and we haven't heard from Lara in 5 years. My grandmother recently passed away, and she left an inheritance and will. Somehow, Lara found out about my grandmother's death and appeared at the meeting where the will was to be read. The commotion was so great that the reading of the will was postponed. That happened last week. Lara left her contact information with my grandmother's attorney. Today was the reading of my grandma's will, and Lara was there, since she is still legally the daughter of my parents, and the lawyer did not want to read my grandmother's will without her. My grandma left Lara one of her rings of average value and an amount of approximately $10. Compared to what she left me or my cousins, it's nothing. Lara was furious. She threw a tantrum and said that surely my parents had manipulated my grandmother to make me leave nothing for her. At this point, my dad was crying. I got angry, and I told her that she had no right to anything that my grandmother left, because she was the one who cut off contact, not us. I also called her some not very pretty names. Lara called me an a-hole and left the place. Now my mother is mad at me because she thinks this was our chance to talk to Lara again and reestablish a relationship with her, and that I ruined that opportunity. Not the a-hole. Also, your parents are wrong. Lara wasn't there to reconnect. She was only there for the money. Opie's mom is absolutely blinded by her own desperation in order not to see the glaring sign Lara's holding that says, "I still don't care about any of you." It's absolutely crazy to me. Lara almost spent more time out of Opie's life than in it. From 12 to 18, they had regular contact. The next to nothing from 18 to 22, and no contact for the last 5 years. Not the a-hole. Lara went off and cut contact for 5 years after your parents finished paying off her university fees. And now she's throwing a tantrum because she thinks she's entitled to your deceased grandmother's stuff? She's entitled and sounds like a giant a-hole. She did you a favor when she cut contact, and she should have stayed away. Your parents are still grieving. And Lara was a massive a-hole to show up when they were grieving the loss of your grandmother, and potentially try to take advantage of that emotional state. Also, $10 is about all I would have left her to just to stop her contesting the will. But if that wasn't an issue, I'd say that $10 is maybe $10 too much. Am I the a-hole for telling my kids they aren't my problem anymore? My ex-wife and I got sick of each other about 10 years into our marriage. We had 3 kids by then, and we tried to make it work for their sake. It didn't work, and we divorced. I let her keep the house because it was the kids' home, and I wanted them to have some stability. I paid child support, and I paid for extracurriculars on top of that. I had to work a lot of hours to afford everything I was paying for, but I thought it was worth it. My mental health improved being away from my ex, and the kids were taken care of. I tried to stay involved in their lives, but I couldn't support them financially, as well as being there for every event. I made an effort to be there for all the important things: birthdays, Christmas, holidays. I also made sure that my custody time was sacrosanct. I would turn off my work phone and be present when we were together. But no matter how I tried, they got resentful that I wasn't always there. It didn't matter to them that they only got to participate in these activities was because I was sacrificing for them. They wanted me to pay for the extras, but somehow not work to pay for the extras. When they got to be older teens, I tried reasoning with them, but their argument was that their mom worked and still managed to attend. We grew apart and they cut me out of their lives. I hated it. I still made sure they all graduated from college without debt. One of them got a scholarship, so I actually had a little extra money to give them. I rarely saw them after they left high school. I have not seen them in years now. My ex passed away and I sold house. It was mine as per our agreement. She could live there for free until she got remarried. She never did. The kids were expecting to get money from her estate, and they did. After everything was said and done, they each got about $31,000. What they didn't get was a share of the profit from the house. That will fund my retirement. I disliked my ex, but she was a good mom. I never wanted to get this money this way. I would have been fine letting her live there another 30 years. The kids came to my house to talk to me. They said that they were all counting on that money. I asked why. What made them think their mom was going to die on vacation at 53? They said that it wasn't fair that I got the house. I said I owned the house and that their mom didn't leave it to me. As part of our divorce, I owned the house and even paid the taxes and for maintenance. They said that they could really use some help. I said that none of them were really my problem anymore. I hadn't been invited to their homes and that I hadn't been asked to participate in their weddings. I attended as a guest. They all think I'm being an a-hole and stingy. I think they would not have bothered talking to me except for the money. Now for the top comments. They said that they were all counting on that money. I asked why. What made them think their mom was going to die on vacation at 53? Thanks for the chuckle. Sorry your kids suck. Yeah, I'm glad you called them out on that. Despite being divorced from their mother, while they supposedly had a close relationship with her, he is the one saying he didn't want the money this way and wishes she was still here, while they say they were counting on it. Which is such a weird response to someone's premature death. Even if they expected to inherit, it shouldn't have been for potentially decades yet. I can't imagine that being my priority after losing a parent. They said that it wasn't fair that I got the house. You didn't get the house. You had been having the house the entire time. Not the a-hole. Definitely not the a-hole over the house. You were not only having the house, you were maintaining the house and keeping it at a loss. So they didn't have to move and they had a more comfortable life. You paid for their college education, which isn't a small feat in itself. While you weren't there, you made it possible for their mom to be there for them. They have the right to feel estranged from you, but they have no cause to be angry at you over the house. I expect a lot of that is misplaced rage at losing their mom so early. And it's easier to blame someone you don't know well, but has expectations that weren't fulfilled. I wonder if ex-wife was truly ever honest about how their lifestyle was funded. It's very easy to afford and attend events when your biggest expense and worry is covered, and the luxury of having money for college is as well. What light did you paint OP in? Doesn't change that OP's kids are entitled a-holes. I doubt it. If the kids didn't realize the home belonged to and was funded by dad, and mom had very little estate, I doubt the kids were truly aware of what the situation is. They still suck though. Next story. Am I the a-hole for completely cutting off both parents for treating my pregnant wife badly? Hello everyone. I'm 32 male and my wife is 33 female. She is currently 4 months pregnant with our first child. So for the past 8 years or so, I've slowly distanced myself as much as possible. My mom is weirdly obsessed with hating my wife, like she wishes she was married to me or something. My dad is just the type of guy to take my mom's side in everything, whether she's right or not. He's also just straight up an a-hole, the type of guy that yells at retail workers for things that isn't their fault, lol. Anyways, because of that mix, they have hated my wife since we met at 24 and 25. Pretty much as soon as we met, I started to distance myself and my girl because I didn't like the way they treated her, but now I have to cut off all contact completely. About a month ago, we announced our baby and my parents have been incredibly pushy about a lot. First of all, my wife's mom passed away, so if it's a girl, we are naming her her mom's first name. If it's a boy, we're going to use her mom's middle name, since it's gender neutral. This was always something that was important to her. She was extremely close with her mom and has always wanted to honor her like this. I think it's beautiful. And the middle name, regardless of gender, is the name of where we first met. I'm not going into specifics on here obviously, but trust me, it's a cute name. My parents had to make a big deal that they don't get a say. My dad even said the words, "It's our son's baby. She's just carrying it." That ticked me off, because it's her baby she's carrying too. I told them to give it a rest and my mom spent the entire night trying to guilt us into adding her name or my dad's. So now a few days, both my parents come over to tell us they both will be in the room. I told them absolutely not, because my wife already told me she only wants me there. My mom gets all upset that she needs to see her first grandchild be born. And my dad's mad saying my wife is selfish and thinks she's the first woman to give birth. I told them it's her body, and when it's one of them pushing out a child, they get to decide who's there in the room. By the time the conversation ended, I was so mad I told them to leave and not come back until they want to respect my wife. I kicked them out, and for right now they are not able to contact us as I blocked them from everything. Before blocking them, I sent a message telling them to not contact her, not step foot on my property, and stay away from the hospital when the time comes. Now, if they decide to change and be respectful, we would both cautiously welcome them back into our life. But for right now, all I know is my wife's biggest dream in life was to be pregnant and be a stay-at-home mom one day. There's literally tons of pictures of her as a child playing pregnant, and I really want this time to be something she can cherish. They were stressing her out, and she was already struggling with the fact her mom isn't here. The last thing she needs is my mom attacking her. We're also planning the gender reveal for 7 months. My wife wanted a bigger bump in the videos/photos, so we're waiting, and I was scared they would ruin it for her, so this gave me a lot of relief there as well. My older brother sent me a message saying what I did was way too far and it wasn't that big of a deal. But I stand by what I did. Honestly, I probably should have done it sooner, but it's not easy. So, what do you guys think? Not the a-hole. Your wife and child are your family. Your parents are intrusive and demanding. Not a good combo for a good marriage or life. Not the a-hole. Agree fully with this commenter. Recommend that you alert the hospital to make sure your parents and others are barred from entry when the time comes. Congratulations on the pregnancy. When did this thing of people thinking they should be in the delivery room start? That's just crazy. It's not a spectator sport. I agree. I was actually shocked they even tried. I was extra shocked when they tried to argue. The only person who has a say in who is in the room that day is the person pushing the child out of her body. Childbirth is traumatic and scary enough for women. The last thing they need is entitled people thinking they deserve to witness it. I mean, for us personally, my wife is already uncomfortable with the doctors and nurses who see it every day seeing her give birth. I also talked to a friend who also experienced this with his parents. I can't even begin to understand why anyone would think they deserve to see a child that isn't theirs to be born. Keep on the path you are on. You are right to protect your wife and child. That is your family now. You have been patient long enough. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not putting the baby in the basement? About a year ago, my 16-year-old son came home visibly stressed. We asked him what is wrong, and he started crying and saying he got his girlfriend, who is also 16, pregnant, and they don't know what to do. We went to the parents of the girl, who had no idea about it. All of us discussed it together. The girl was terrified and didn't want an abortion, but didn't want the baby too. We offered that she can give birth and we will raise the baby for her. We want the baby and we don't want to ruin their lives. They can choose whether they want to stay in the baby's life, and we will not ask for child support. They agreed. The baby was born 4 months ago and she is just the most wonderful and beautiful baby girl. The girl chose to not stay in her life. My son wants to be in her life, but doesn't want to be responsible for her yet, which is fine. We finished the basement for him because we wanted him to be able to study without having the babies crying distract him. Things have been going very well. We adore the baby and my son does too. Now, my older kids, 18-20, have been complaining that it's not fair that they have to deal with a crying baby while her own dad gets to hide in a quiet basement and not deal with her. They think that we should put the baby in the basement with her dad. I told them that I have a responsibility towards the baby and my minor sons, so I will make sure the both of them get to have a good and happy childhood. The rest of them can move out if they have a problem with this. They think I'm an a-hole and favoring my youngest. Now for the top comments. Let's be very clear here. It's not your son's child. You wanted a child. The bio mother and bio father did not. They effectively acted as surrogates for your child. You chose the baby. That's your right. But your other children are correct that you are rewarding your son for his irresponsibility. You have a new baby. It may cost you your older children's respect. You seem comfortable with that choice. OP finally got her little girl. I actually feel so sorry for the older sons. Not only do they know they've been replaced, but also their irresponsible younger brother is being rewarded for giving his parents this gift. So your 16-year-old messed up, and now everyone except him is dealing with the consequences of that? You're the a-hole, and a crappy parent to boot. OP's son already knows how to make a baby and must not be tolerated. I understand that she pities her son, but what I do not understand is why on earth is she still giving her son the baby treatment? Why not teach him to be responsible for his actions? When will he feel obliged when OP is not teaching him how to be responsible and just tolerating him? Edit. I have made my final decision and I will not change my mind, so you can stop commenting. If they think they're old enough to decide what should happen in my house, then I will treat them like the adults they are. This means no freeloading. Anyone over the age of 18 who wants to have a say in what happens at my house must pay $1,000 each month for rent, which is a fair price for rent where we live. Plus, they will be responsible for all of their own expenses from now on. I will not be paying for their groceries or their bills, or their gas or anything else. Time to man up. Whichever of them who can do this is welcome to live in the basement instead of my youngest. Needless to say, none of them has a job, so I already know what is going to be their answer. As for my youngest, I will support him however I can while he is a minor. As soon as he turns 18, he has to follow the same rules. However, I will provide everything for my granddaughter until he gets a full-time job, because her happiness is what matters the most here. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take down a small display of my deceased husband, even though new boyfriend thinks it's unfair to him? So my husband passed away late 2018. It was sudden, it was devastating, and I still miss him. He was only 33 and I was 29 when it happened. He had been my best friend for almost half of my life, way before it became a romantic relationship that eventually led us getting married in 2014. Fast forward to today and I've found love again with a new man, 36. We've been together for about 2 years, and 5 months ago he moved in with me. It was going pretty good until a couple weeks ago. This man has always been so patient and understanding. We had a bunch in common and would get each other's references to like old cartoons and movie quotes. He laughed at my bad jokes. Every now and then, he'd get moody when he'd want to watch TV with me, and I would get caught up in a painting or project. To be fair, this happens a lot. I don't like watching TV when we could do something else, and I have a lot of hobbies and just started a small business. I feel like 1 or 2 movies a month seems sufficient, and it's basically the only activity he ever suggests. I tried things like working on something in the same room as he watches something, but apparently it only counts as quality time together if I'm also watching with him. I don't get it, but this was the biggest problem we had until recently. A couple weeks ago, out of nowhere, he started acting very angry and insecure. He keeps bringing up events or statements he says I made months ago and accusing me of hiding things. I know that I haven't done anything I'd have to lie to him about, so even if I don't remember a particular comment I made last February or something, I can be sure that it wasn't anything meant to deceive him or mask my secret doings or whatever. I don't have the time or energy to be in a relationship where I have to hide stuff, and if it came to that, I would rather be single. Anyway, sorry, that was a long backstory. Back to the main point. In our bedroom, there's like a nook in a corner where I keep my business supplies and a tall bookshelf that I mostly use for general storage. There are several bins and like my sewing machine and of course some books. You can't see any of it from the main part of the room, but I use it regularly. Taking up maybe 1/4 of one shelf, just under a foot long, I have a place where I display a little urn with some of my husband's ashes. A mug he got me that says wifey, a little stuffed mini doll, and an infinity cube I decorated years ago that says I love you. Behind this, there's a picture of my husband kissing my cheek. My boyfriend told me last night that it's disrespectful and unfair to him that I have that up in our room because I'm not married to him anymore. That he and I are now together, and he shouldn't have to look at me with another man. I would agree with that if my husband wasn't dead, but he is. Am I wrong for being firm on this? For the record, this whole display is easy to overlook, and he doesn't have anything in that little enclave of the room, so he wouldn't have to see it if he didn't try to. Not the a-hole. You've got a late husband, not an ex-husband. You didn't break up, he died. You're allowed to keep reminders of your late husband around. For as long as you want, or forever. I wish my pop's new wife had understood this from the get-go. I might still have a family. Widowed person here. Woman, run. Anyone who demands that you banish the memory of your late husband deserves none of your time and attention. If that was all, it would be bad enough. But your boyfriend is showing classic signs of an abusive partner. Educate yourself on the signs and patterns, and make a plan to get him out of your house. And whatever you do, don't get pregnant. I have a friend who married a widower with 3 kids. She's been very conscious from the beginning that without this tragedy, she wouldn't have the life she does. She's moved some furniture around, repainted a room or 2, but she keeps the last family photo they took in the same place on a wall. They update a similar photo every year, but she's never touched the old one. They celebrate her husband's first wife's birthday, and she makes sure the kids see their grandparents and other family often. She tries to incorporate at least a few traditions their mom started on major holidays. She says that without the woman her bio kids know as Aunt Ruth, none of them would be here. And just because she's gone doesn't mean that she doesn't have a place in the family. I know my friend is a very rare breed, but I wish she wasn't.